One of the biggest reasons why people aren't consuming your content is because they don't find it relevant. And the things that people find relevant are the things that create these automatic triggers inside of them. Things like their emotions or curiosity or things they identify with, or giving them these big realizations, this level of relevancy when it comes across their eyeballs inside of a news feed or like on Instagram or YouTube or wherever it may be, or an ad. That's the stuff that gets the clicks. And most people don't know how to do that. But last week we did a whole episode on 4 different hooks that you can use to start getting people to take the automatic reactions and clicks and actions you want them to take. Well, this episode is a continuation of that, where we're going to start talking briefly about where you can start using these hooks to get the most amount of traction. So if that's interesting to you, well, keep on listening.
Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're taking it one step further from what we talked about last week. So last week, we talked about different hooks that you guys can use inside of your messaging, your content, ads, whatever it may be, that allows you to create demand, that gets people hooked, gets them to automatically want to take the next step with you, whether that next step is to open an email, click on a link, show up live, purchase, or whatever it may be. So just as a reminder, and if you haven't listened to last week's episode, I would go do that so that this episode makes a lot more sense to you. But we talked about 4 different hooks that you can use. And so those hooks are the identity hook, which is more like an identity transformation. So instead of saying you can finally, don't you want to be, or you would say something along the lines of like, you can create more engaging content, you would play into the identity transformation, which is something like you can finally become the course creator who doesn't have to worry about their content falling flat, or you can finally be the course creator who doesn't have to worry about where their sales are going to come from. You can finally be the course creator who gets to experience their content being shared. So there's this identity transformation. You get to be this identity who gets to experience this beautiful thing. So again, most people just like to say what it is, right? Most people just like to say, well, you get to experience, or most people like to just say the thing that they're going to get. Like, you're going to get more engaging content. You're going to become a better copywriter. You're going to become a better parent. And it's like, no, what does that identity transform into? So you finally get to become the parent whose kids listen the first time without you having to yell, or whatever it may be. Okay. Then we have the curiosity hook, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. But the way I like to use the curiosity hook is more of like, there's a secret. So I have these things, or me and all my successful students all did this one thing, or these 3 things that just allowed, and you can connect it with the identity hook, allowed them to become the course creators who finally don't have to worry about the sales anymore, or something like that. Right. So that's the curiosity hook that you can use as well. I like to use it as the secret, or I found out this one thing, or whatever it may be. But the idea is to use curiosity in order to hook people in. The next one is an emotional hook. And that's pretty self-explanatory. We are talking more about their emotions than we are the logic. And we all know that people buy based off of their emotions. And so this will be like, most creators, when they have really good content that isn't getting seen, they start to feel like they're wasting their time. They start to feel like no one is understanding them. They start to feel like people are more successful than them with less information, even though they're not as good as them. And it feels depressing, like there's no end in sight. So we play really into the emotions, but you want to play into the emotions in the way of what is actually landing with them, or what they're actually experiencing. So that means get specific and descriptive on the emotions. The emotions don't always have to be a negative thing either. You could do a very positive thing. So like a very happy, or a desire that they want. What are the experiences they want to have, the emotional experiences they want to have? The next one is the realization hook. And I really like the realization hook. Realization hooks are when we use specific language, talk about specific problems, where people realize, oh my God, that's me. They come to their own conclusions that this is me. They come to their own conclusions that like, I have this problem. They come to the conclusion or realize like, oh my gosh, this thing is happening because of this mistake I've been making. There's some sort of realization that sparks an aha that gives them this awareness raising sort of experience. Like, oh, I never put that together. Or I never realized that. Or, oh my gosh, that is what I'm doing. Oh my gosh, I am making mistakes. So these are the 4 different hooks that you can use that we talked about last week. Now, what I wanted to talk about on this episode was a couple different areas where you can use these hooks. Now, keep in mind, you can use these hooks all over the place. You can use them together to create really powerful copy or presentations or webinars or ads or content or whatever it may be. So they don't necessarily need to be used by themselves in single ways. You can combine 2 of them together in a sentence, or 2 of them together in a piece of content, or all 4 together in like a paragraph or whatever it may be. So let's dive in to all the different ways in which you can do this. So one of the easiest and quickest ways, let's start with identity hook. The identity hook, when we talk about the transformation the identity is going to go through, there's so many different ways to do that. So I personally like using it in ads, like openings. So even inside of content, you can say like, hey guys, in today's video, you're going to learn how to create really engaging content. You're finally going to become the course creator who is able to get sales almost every single time you pitch with what you're going to learn in this video. So there's that identity transformation hook in the beginning. But again, you can do that same, that opening can be an opening in an email, piece of content, a webinar. It doesn't have to be just in the form of content. You can use it in the opening of anything. I also like to really use it in pitches. So when you pitch your product at the end, I think one of the things that a lot of people fall into is they just start explaining what everyone's going to get. Like, you're going to get this and you're going to get this. Like you're on an Oprah talk show. Like, you get this and you get a microwave and you get a microwave and blah, 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 blah. It's like, no one wants microwaves. Okay, guys, like no one is sitting there saying like, I wish I could just have more swipe files or one-on-one calls. Maybe they are saying I want more one-on-one calls, but I mean, you get the point. They're not sitting there saying I need more training videos today and workbooks today. So, when we can say like, hey, you're going to have these one-on-one calls, then we can throw the identity transformation hook in there, which is like, you're going to get these one-on-one calls so you can finally become the course creator who's not making all of these mistakes and is the course creator who finally gets to put something out there and get results really quickly and instantly. I also like to use the identity hook transformations in our teachings. And so anytime I go into a step, I'll say, here's step 1. And what step 1 is going to do is going to help you be able to experience this thing over here. Or you can finally become the course creator who like puts out content that gets clicks instantly because the titles are dialed in. So again, identity hook can go inside of openings, emails, ads, definitely inside your pitching and pitches that you're doing, VSLs, things like that, but also teachings. And so I think if I had to pick one that I thought was like the most powerful and most helpful and practical, it'd probably be the identity transformation hook, because you can, when you start to like come up with titles or like openings, or when you start to teach, when you start thinking about more of like what they're going to transform into because of this thing, it allows you to write such better copy, have much more impactful messaging, create much more impactful content. Okay. So the next one is the curiosity hook. And I love using curiosity hooks in headlines, but I actually really love using curiosity hooks in our call to actions. So I like using the call to action that is recap problem solution. So it's like, hey guys, in this video, you just learned X, Y, and Z. That's the recap. But the problem is you're still going to have to deal with this specific thing right now. And then solution is, so what I want you to do is click the link below and I have this solution, this free download that you can go get that's going to help you fix this problem. So it's recap what you just taught them, create a problem that's going to happen if they only have the information they just got. And then the solution is going to be the next step. So take this next step and we'll help you solve that problem so you don't have to deal with it. I love using the curiosity hook in the call to actions where it's something along the lines of, If you've had this problem, don't worry. I've helped over 3,000 course creators do this, and every single one of them who fixed this problem all did 3 things. Now, I want to give you these 3 things, but I'm going to do it as soon as you opt in, or I'm going to do it when you do this thing that I want you to do. Okay. So it's like, that's the curiosity hook. It's like, what are these 3 things? So when you start to use those in your call to actions, those call to actions, it works really well inside of ads, like direct response copy, your emails, if you need people to register for something. So this call to action works really, really well. Again, direct response sort of situations, which is going to be like your ads, your emails to get them to opt in, things where you want them to click or join a Facebook group or, download something or opt in for something. It also works really well for headlines. It's like, learn the 3 secrets every successful course creator that came through our program figured out, or here's the 3 messaging hacks that every 7-figure entrepreneur has mastered. It's sort of like this. We have this secret. We know this information that got this result, and we're going to give it to you if you take the next step. It's this curiosity thing. So again, headlines, really great inside of call to actions, direct response copy. The curiosity hook works really, really well. The emotional hook also works really well inside of ads. It works really well inside of teachings. So a lot of the times when I go and teach something, I'll open a teaching with that identity transformation. I'll say, here's step 1. We're going to show you how to create really effective headlines. You can finally be the course creator who stops the scroll and gets people instantly clicking on their content every single time. And then I'll move into an emotional hook and I'll say, now look, like if your headlines aren't really working, it's going to make you feel like you're invisible, you're unheard, you're putting out really good information and it's not getting seen. And it's really going to like hurt, because you're putting in all this time and you're not seeing the results. So I'm combining the identity transformation in a teaching with the emotional hook. So for me, like when I open up things, I like to open up with like identity hooks, but I talk about like the identity hook takes them on a transformation. Like you're about to learn how to become this thing that you want to. And then I move into emotional hook, which is like, but because you're not there yet, you're likely experiencing this, and this, and we want you to be on the other side of that. Okay. So we can use the emotional hooks inside of like ads and teachings, things like that. So call to actions also are really great with the emotional hook, because you can say like, if you're experiencing this emotion and this pain and this problem, you can click the link, opt in, and we're going to help you become this thing over here. So again, I like to use it in teachings. We're about to learn something to show like, here's what you're about to gain or the experience you're about to have with this teaching. And then the final one is the realization hook. And the realization hook is very good inside of, like self-identifying content. So content that gets people to realize I've been making a mistake. So if you say things like, if you've been experiencing this problem, it's likely because you've been making this mistake. Or if you're doing a 5 signs piece of content, 5 signs, you have this major problem. And then you say sign number 1, sign number 2. Those are really, that whole piece of content is a realization hook. That's why it works. Because when you say like, here's the 5 mistakes or the 5 signs or the 5 reasons why something is happening, and you're very specific on what those are, the person consuming that content self-identifies and goes, oh my God, that's me. And that's when they have the aha. That's when they have the realization. That's when you hook them in with your content. Like the whole piece of content with self-identifying is a realization hook, which then gets them to go like, oh my God, this is the person I need to work with. This person gets me. This person sees me. So you can have realization hooks as content itself. But I also like doing them in the openings of webinars. So inside of our webinars, if you're inside of Build to Convert, we have this whole thing inside of our webinars where we have a diagnosis stage where I literally will diagnose people. I say like, look, if you're having this problem, you're in the right place. And people go, oh my God, yeah, that's me. And I say, well, here's the first part of the training. Like you're having those problems because you're making these mistakes. And they go like, oh my God, I am making those mistakes. So I like to use these realization hooks in the beginning of like trainings and challenges and launches so that people self-identify like, yeah, I'm the one who has this problem. Like that is me. Okay. So again, we have the identity, the curiosity, the emotional, and the realization hook. Those are all sort of different ways and areas you can use them. Now, like I mentioned on the last episode, we do have a mini course on my top 5 pieces of content that get more engagement than any other content we've ever created. If you're a NGM or a Built to Convert client, don't worry about it. But if you're not in Built to Convert or NGM, we're going to give you 5 pieces of content inside of our mini course. All you need to do is go to brandonlucero.com/demand. You guys can buy it. It's super cheap. It's like the cheapest thing we've ever sold. It's like well under $100. So go check it out. But it's going to use the identity hook, the curiosity hook, and the emotional hook to be able to help you create content that's going to get more traction, results, views, and followers. So go brandonlucero.com/demand. Go check it out. And I'll see you guys next week. Take care, everyone.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.